for days, searching for your praise. Is it even there to find?
Hi you guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Jamie. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. I am finally doing this video for you guys. This is highly requested and it's actually a video that I've done on my channel before, but it has since been deleted. I did it kind of in my early YouTube days and I just felt like I could redo this video so much better with more information and just kind of something a little bit more helpful for you guys. So that hasn't been up for a long time, but I'm happy to be redoing this video now and walking you guys through my whole journey and basically how and why I went gluten-free. So this is long overdue, but I'm excited that we're doing it. I hope it helps you guys. Let's go ahead and get into it because I feel like this might be a little bit long. I have my coffee over here that I'm drinking in case you guys are wondering, but let's go ahead and just jump right into it. I have a few things I want to say before I get into kind of my story. If you guys are not familiar with what gluten is, because it kind of is just like a lax term that people throw around, gluten is basically a protein that's found in wheat, barley, and rye. And really the main factor in that is bread, and that's kind of the most restricting thing with a gluten-free diet. You can't have normal bread, and think just anything breaded, pastries, cookies, anything with like dough, pancakes, waffles, baked goods, anything breaded, all of that kind of stuff is gluten. So there is a lot of options. I'm going to get into that in the video. It sounds super restricting when you first say that, but there almost is an option for everything now that it's 2020. You can get gluten-free whatever you like, so it's really good. But just wanted to say that for those of you that do not know really what it is. There's kind of this weird stigma around it, like, oh, you're gluten-free, like it's kind of like sometimes a little bit of a joke, like almost like when people make fun of people for being vegan. Like it's kind of silly and pretty lame if you ask me. But anyways, if you guys watch my channel, you probably know that I am gluten-free, or if you follow me on Instagram, I have had a gluten-free diet basically the entire time that I've had my channel. If you are new, I do want to kind of cover a few bases and let you guys know a little bit of background. So I have been gluten-free for about 5 years now. I was kind of like doing the math today, and I went gluten-free in 2015, so it'll be like officially 5 years this fall, which sounds crazy. So I am gluten intolerant. I am not technically gluten-free by choice, and it has completely changed my life for the better, and we'll get into that, but that's just a little bit of background. So I am not celiac, if you guys are wondering. Celiac is basically an autoimmune disease, and it's a much more serious and severe version of being gluten intolerant. So I don't have that, thank God, but I am gluten intolerant, and I kind of want to just explain to you guys what I went through getting to this place that I am now. Okay, so basically, if we go back to the beginning, 2014, 2015 kind of time. I would say like the year span between 2014 and 2015 was one of the worst years of my life, and that sounds crazy, but one of the worst, hardest times for me mentally, because I was feeling so ill, and it sucked because I had just graduated high school in 2014, so it was soon after I graduated. It wasn't like while I was in high school or anything, so I kind of had a little bit of time after that, and then I started to feel sick, and that kind of lasted until I discovered what my real issue was in late 2015. So I would say it was kind of like a year span. So in 2014, I just started to feel so sick, and it just kind of continued to linger. And I had actually just lost my mom like not that long before this whole situation happened, and losing my mom really left me in a place of fear with my health, because I lost her to a really nasty battle to cancer, unfortunately. And I kind of want to do a video about all that if you guys are interested, in case you guys are going through anything similar. I think it would be helpful. So let me know about that. But losing her really left me in like a place of fear with my health. I had like extreme health anxiety. That whole year in between where I wasn't feeling well, I was back and forth to the doctor non-stop because I was convinced I had something severely wrong with me, and your health can really play tricks on you. I wasn't feeling well, but I also had all my symptoms really magnified because I was so worried about it, and it led me to feel, you know, depressed, and I had anxiety, and it just really started to affect me in more ways than just having an upset stomach. So basically my symptoms were I was just really fatigued all the time, and I would go through spouts of feeling really nauseous, and sometimes I would throw up, sometimes I wouldn't. It would just be kind of a lingering nauseousness, and the main symptom that really stuck out to me was really bad stomach pains. It was just kind of this constant like sharp pain and like almost like hardness in my stomach. I would say I probably was also really bloated and had like a lot of gastrointestinal issues happening. So it was affecting my digestive system, and it just kind of took a toll on my entire body the longer it lingered. So I was just feeling really sick overall, and it was really affecting me. It got to the point where it wasn't going away, so it really started to bother me. So throughout this entire time, I kept going back and forth to doctors. They're like, everything's fine, you look good, like blah blah, like I don't see anything wrong, you don't have an infection, your blood work looks fine. But I just kept going back because I'm like, okay, but I'm not getting better. Like hearing that everything is okay isn't really helping the issues that I'm having. So I kept going back, and I ended up getting ultrasounds on my stomach. I got ultrasounds on my ovaries. I had actually at one point a CAT scan of my entire abdomen. So I had all these different tests done, and everything kept coming back normal, and I was just still feeling so sick. So I basically kind of lost my appetite also. I wasn't feeling well, so that kind of affected my appetite. I was feeling nauseous at times, so I didn't really want to eat a ton, and I also was feeling like everything I was eating was making me feel sick. And I think just overall I was just really run down, and I felt dizzy, and it just never ended. And it was to the point where I said, I feel like that was one of the worst years of my life, and really not a lot of people knew about it because I keep things in. Unfortunately, that's just my personality. I keep a lot of things in. Obviously my family and my boyfriend knew what was going on, but it was a really tough time for me because it was really like mentally challenging. Dealing with things with your health is always a huge burden. Obviously there's greater scales that you could go through health challenges like cancer and diseases and those kinds of issues, but it's also really challenging when you cannot figure out what's wrong with you and you're just constantly visiting the doctors. It's just emotionally draining and really hard on your mental health. So that was really a hard time for me. So that was kind of the symptoms I was experiencing: stomach pains, nausea, dizziness, an upset stomach obviously, and fatigue, kind of lethargic. It was an overall feeling in my body that I was just not right. So I kept going to get tests done, and it didn't really click for me until I went to go get this one ultrasound. My ultrasound technician was kind of asking me about my symptoms, and I was telling her, and she was like, have you ever considered maybe you're gluten intolerant? And I was like, well, you know what? I've been doing a ton of Googling, obviously, and I had seen a few things about that, but I wasn't really sure because my doctor kept telling me it doesn't seem like an allergy. It doesn't seem like anything like that. It doesn't seem like you're allergic to anything, you're fine, because they just kept telling me I was okay. So I just was like, okay, kind of wrote that one off. I kept trying to do process of elimination with my diet, just here and there. And then she ended up telling me that one of her best friends is gluten intolerant and went through a similar experience as me and had a lot of the same symptoms as me. Her doctor had told her that you need to be gluten-free for at least 3 months because that's how long all of those particles remain in your system, and your body isn't free of it until you are completely gluten-free for at least a few months. That really just a light bulb went off when she said that, because I was like, I literally have been doing it for days and wanting results and nothing happens. So that was just a game changer. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this out. Obviously I'm not getting any answers from the doctors. They say that I'm all good, everything looks fine, and they're not giving me anything to work with. So I had to kind of, figure it out on my own. So I started to go gluten-free, and it was definitely a learning curve, and I don't want to discourage any of you guys. It's something that you have to get used to. It's definitely a really big process, but you have to stick with it, and you're going to hit those bumps along the road, but it's going to be okay. You just got to get to that point where you start to learn what is okay and what isn't okay, and what is making you feel sick and what isn't, and just figure out your diet. Luckily in 2020 there are so many options. I started in 2015, and that's not that long ago, but we've come a long way in almost 5 years with gluten-free food. There's so many options now. Basically anything you want that isn't gluten-free, there's a gluten-free option for it. There's gluten-free donuts, gluten-free pancakes, gluten-free waffles, gluten-free cake, gluten-free bread, tortillas. There's so many options, and you really don't have to feel like you're depriving yourself, because I think that's what a lot of people feel the fear of. For me, I was like, I love bread. I am gonna die without sourdough bread. I love it. I'm always eating a sandwich. I love toast. I just love carbs. I just thought I was literally gonna lose my mind if I didn't have it, and that was not the case at all. At first it was a little difficult, but I think because I was feeling so sick, I just didn't care. I was willing to try anything. I always tell people that when they kind of ask me about going gluten-free, you know, like what is the hardest part? How do you stick with it? Blah, blah, blah. And for me, I don't feel deprived of anything, and I do not miss anything really, because the comparison of how I was feeling and how I'm feeling now is night and day. And when you know that something's gonna make you feel sick and it's just gonna make you feel icky, you do not miss it. Like, I don't see a piece of sourdough bread and go, oh my gosh, that looks so good. I'm like, I see like a representation of something that makes me feel terrible, and I don't want it, you know? So once you start to feel better and more like yourself, you'll be totally fine. You will not feel deprived. You will feel amazing, and it's literally life-changing. Basically, I would just kind of maybe do some research, look up things that you have to avoid, ingredients that you should avoid, how to read labels. There are so many resources online, and like I said, there is an option for everything now. In 2020, there are so many gluten-free options everywhere you go and everywhere you shop. They have gluten-free sections. It's just, you just gotta look for that little GF label. It's kind of like the little organic label that's on things. It's just GF on the front of the bag. They always have it on whatever they have, because they love to brag if something's gluten-free. So it's pretty easy to find what you can eat and what you can't, especially at the grocery store. And you know what? I would also take this as an opportunity to start eating healthier. You can just focus on eating more whole foods, and, you know, not having a bun on your burger all the time. Like, only get the gluten-free bun when you need it or when you feel like you want a little treat. You do not have to have gluten-free bread every single day. You can still eat normal good food. Like, I can have rice, I can have every vegetable, I can have every fruit, I can have chicken, shrimp, fish, like I can have all the meat. So I would just reserve those gluten-free options for times when you want like a little bit of a treat, because just because it's gluten-free doesn't mean that it's healthy. I just want to make that clear. There is also a little bit of a stigma behind it that it is like a healthy diet, and it definitely is healthier, but that doesn't mean eating a gluten-free bagel is so much better for you than eating a normal bagel. It's still really heavy in carbs, and it still has a ton of ingredients, and if you could avoid having that every single day, you're better off. So it's just kind of almost like starting a healthier diet for your life, you know? So maybe just next time you're at the grocery store, start to look in the aisles and pay attention to, you know, the labels and read ingredients and kind of check out what they have for options and what you can use and what you can eat, and just kind of, you know, take a look. You don't have to fully jump into it right away and feel overwhelmed. You can do your research first and ease into it with the options that you need. If you aren't allergic and maybe you just want to start doing a gluten-free diet, that's kind of a way you could do it. You could just ease into it and learn along the way and slowly build into a 100% gluten-free diet. So for those of you that are thinking you're gluten intolerant or have some type of issue with it, I would suggest you, you know, do your research, but once you start your gluten-free diet, do not stray from it. I see a lot of people that are gluten-free and then they have like donuts on the weekends. Like, you cannot do that. Like I said, from the ultrasound technician, she said that it takes up to 3 months for that gluten to leave your system. So you could possibly feel icky for the next 3 months, and like, is that donut on the weekend worth it? I don't think so. It's almost like throwing away your whole diet. It's not worth it. And I've even had people ask me every once in a while, like, oh, don't you just have like one little bite? Like, one bite's not gonna hurt you. And it's like, yeah, one bite might not cause a ton of problems for me, but if I get comfortable having that one bite every once in a while, it's going to turn into more and more, and I'm slowly going to get back to that place where I'm feeling sick. And it's better to just not have any at all. It's like if you have a problem with alcohol, you can't just have a drink every once in a while. Once you go sober, you cannot have any alcohol, you know? Not like saying that the bread was an addiction for me. It was obviously for health reasons, but it's the same kind of thing. Like, you can't stray from the path that you're on if you want to stay on it, you know? So I definitely recommend sticking to it, especially if you have an allergy. If you guys want to just, you know, have healthier options and go gluten-free every once in a while, and you don't really have an issue with it, you just want to do it for your health, that's fine too. But speaking to those of you that are like me, stick to the diet. Just stay away from the temptation. It's not worth it. You'll feel sick, and it's just like, who wants to feel sick? It feels so much better to feel good and healthy and happy, you know? So one other thing I wanted to cover that a lot of people actually worry about is eating out at restaurants and takeout places and stuff like that. Like, what can I eat if I go out to eat? Basically, everywhere has gluten-free options. Most places you can ask for a gluten-free menu. A lot of restaurants are very cautious of gluten-free diets. It's a major health concern for a lot of people, but also it's become such a, like, you know, a preference for people, like being vegan. So there's always like a vegan option at places, and they also have gluten-free options options. A lot of restaurants even have like little gluten-free symbols next to items on the menu that are gluten-free, but you also could just ask for a gluten-free dedicated menu. Just ask and see. They might not have it, but you can, you know, it doesn't hurt to ask, and they will likely bring out a little mini menu for you that has all the options like refined down to what you're able to eat, and it's so helpful. If you are gluten intolerant and like it affects you and affects your health, I would let them know also, because then they will be careful with what they're putting in your food and make sure they're not doing cross-contamination. You just have to ask and let your server know, and they're usually super accommodating. There's still so many options. If you think about like everything you're restricting yourself from, it seems like a lot. Think about what you still can eat, and you know, there's something about being gluten-free or just having like some type of diet preference. I'm sure you guys can relate to this if you do. Food is so much more exciting when you are restricted from eating something, because you're so grateful for the things you're able to eat. I'm sure you feel that way if you're vegan. I know that so many vegans are so like into food because they're so passionate about what they're able to eat, and it's so much more exciting. You're just so grateful for the things that you're putting into your body, mainly because you know that there's something out there that you can't have. So when there's like, if you go to a pizza place and they have gluten-free crust, you're gonna be so excited, just like way more excited than you would be if you just got like a pizza when you were out. Like, it's just a different type of joy, and you guys will start to learn it. It's really exciting when there's a gluten-free option. I'm sure you can relate to that, and hopefully you can relate to that. Once you guys start to go gluten-free, food becomes a really exciting thing. It's like my favorite thing in the world. So basically, to wrap everything that I set up, do not be discouraged. That's kind of the whole point of this video. I don't want you guys feeling like it's too much and it's like too difficult. Once you start it and get in the rhythm of it, just like anything else in life, you guys will figure it out and it'll become second nature. Like, I don't even think about it anymore, and now all of my friends and family know that I'm gluten-free, so they always make adjustments for me, which is amazing. It will change your life. It completely changed mine. The way I feel is like literally night and day. I never ever want to go back to that place. Like, it was so dark for me, and if you're there right now, I hope this helps you guys in some way. And for those of you that are just considering the diet just because you want to, I definitely encourage it. If you have any questions for me, please leave it in the comments if there's anything I didn't cover. I had you guys ask me a few questions on Instagram, and I think I covered everything in this. If you have anything else that I didn't talk about, just leave it in the comments. I'm happy to answer it for you guys. And also wanted to say, if you guys want to see a what I eat in a day on my channel, make sure you give me a thumbs up and even comment below if you guys want to see that. I could do it in my vlog. I could do like a whole what I eat in a week or whatever, just all gluten-free foods, some ideas for you guys. I could share what my favorite foods are, what my favorite brands are, and just things that I've learned. I'm a wealth of knowledge when it comes to being gluten-free. I've been doing this for a while. I didn't even realize it's almost been 5 years, and it has been one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So yeah, with that said, make sure you guys subscribe. I will do the what I eat in a day if you guys want to see it, but I am also vlogging all the time, so I usually share like recipes in there, things that I'm eating, little snacks, if you guys want to check that out. So make sure you subscribe, follow me on Instagram, because I'm really always sharing recipes there. I even have a whole gluten-free tab on my Instagram. It's just called GF Life, Gluten-Free Life. So you can go check that out for some inspo and some recipe ideas. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.